Hi guys, so I welcome you all to day 29 of Anthropology lecture series. So today we are going to start with the topic 2.3, that is marriage. So let's start. Yeah, so now marriage, it is something which you know I do not need to give any introduction about, because marriage, we all know what it is, we have all seen it around all our lives, right? But when we have to define a marriage, that is the point where it becomes difficult, because again, if I have to, or you have to define marriage, you will define marriage according to what you have seen in your society, right? So that means that you are giving your perspective of marriage, right? But it is not that simple, because if you see the diversity that is there around us in the society at large, you will be amazed to see different kind of marriages that exist and that we are going to read in this chapter. After this, I am sure that your idea of marriage is going to change. And this is the beauty of the subject anthropology, because things which used to look very simple to us, for example, if I talk about myself, things that used to look very simple to me now have different shades. So this subject has made me to see the diversity across cultures and boundaries and territories. So let's get started. If we have to define marriage, first of all, it's very difficult to encompass all its forms, because now you're going to see what are all the forms. So if I have to say anything about marriage, that is universal, is that it is universal biopsychic phenomenon existing around all societies of the world. That means one thing I can say, that it is universal. That means no matter in whatever form it is present in every society. And now, why biopsychic phenomena? We'll see that in the further slides, right? Okay, so now different scholars have tried to give the definition of marriage according to their own ways. We are going to see that. First, Malinowski and Brown. Now, Malinowski and Brown tried to center their definition of marriage around legitimacy. That means how legitimate a marriage is. So they say a legal marriage is the one which gives woman a socially recognized husband and her children a socially recognized father. That means a marriage is solemnized so that woman has a socially recognized husband in the society and her children have socially recognized father. That means all kind of uh, uh, relations, like live-in relationship, where there is no solemnization of marriage and there is no legitimacy attached to the children as of now. So that did not, constitute a marriage, right, according to Malinowski and Brown. So basically what they are trying to say, they took a very narrow approach to it, that is a legality. They attached legality to their definition of marriage, right? That means whatever is socially recognized, social norms, right, the prevalent norms. For example, if we talk about in India, when you get married, you register your marriage and then you have your kids and all. That is the accepted norm of having a marriage. But then there are different tribes, different societies in which different kinds of marriages are there. So he did not talk about that. He did not try to define what marriage is. Okay, he said what marriage will do. It will give a socially recognized husband, it will give her children a socially recognized father. But what is a marriage? He did not talk about that, right? Malinowski did not talk about that. So that means his definition was somewhere down the line not encompassing all the ideas of the marriage, right? So on that perspective, his definition was not complete. So we go to the next definition, that is notes and queries. Now in the 6th edition of notes and queries, they tried to define marriage, and it said a union. Now very important, the word is union between man and a woman, man and a woman. Now, the words that I'm highlighting are of significance, so please take care of them, right? A union between man and a woman such that children born to them are recognized as legitimate offspring of both parents, right? So now they are trying to say there is a union between man and a woman such that if the children are born, they are socially recognized to both the parents, legitimate offsprings of both the parents. Now, on the face of it, the definition looks fine, but the problem is the word union, the word man, and many other, right? The objections were made by Edmund Leach, for example, on the word union. That means union क्या होता है? When it is a union, that means somewhere down the line you both become one, right? You get together, but in a marriage you do not lose your own identity when you get married, okay? You are still an individual with your individual perspective, individual thought process, right? So in a marriage it is not a union in the sense that if it is a union then you will lose your own identity, which is not true. Again, man and a woman means that it doesn't recognize marriages that are of the same sex, that is male marriages that happen in many cultures, or female marriages that happen in again many cultures, of which examples I've put here, like male marriages we see in China Indians and Azande tribe, right? Female marriages we see in the Nuers of Africa, right? So all these kind of marriages which are like single sex marriages or polyandry, polygyny and polygyny is like, see, poly means more than one, right? Andry and gyne you need to understand. Andry means more than one husband and gyne means more than one wife. That means polyandry would be a marriage in which there is one wife and more than one husband, and polygyny would be one husband having more than one wives, right? So we have seen this. For example, polyandry would be Khasa tribes, right? Or Nayars or Khasas, right? And polygyny you see in many Islamic traditions also, you see polygyny marriages and many other tribes also, right? So all these kind of marriages like say single sex marriages, polyandry, polygyny, then the word union, then ghost marriages. Now ghost marriages is what? For example, if you understand, this is a man, right? And this is a woman, right? And this man has a brother B, right? Now this woman will be married to this man, and this brother actually, and this man actually had got deceased. You know, that means this man died, and now this woman marries this brother, but under the name of this man. That means if ever they have kids, the fatherhood would go to this man and not this man. That means even though she is married to this guy, the brother of the man, but the fatherhood or the legitimate husband would be this guy who is deceased, right? So this is a ghost marriage where you actually do not have the person, you're giving the rights of a husband to, right? So that is ghost marriages, which were found in the China, even in many tribes today it must be still prevalent. So China में ऐसी marriages देखी गई. So all these kind of marriages, these complex marriages which are there in existing in the society, these were not addressed by even the definition of notes and queries, right? So I hope you understand this. Then came the definition of Kathleen Gog. Basically Kathleen Gog refuted the definitions of all others, and she studied basically the Nayars of South India. Okay, they are a polyandrous society. Polyandrous, again I've told you, one woman having more than one husband, right? So she studied the Nayar tribe, right? And based on that she came up with the definition of marriage. She said relationship between a woman and one or more person. Now just focus on the word person, which provides that a child born to a woman under circumstances not prohibited under the rules of relationship is accorded full birth status rights of society or social stratum. Now just try to understand. Firstly, the problem that was coming was the same sex marriage or the poly marriages, right? That means polygyny or polyandry. At least she addressed that, because she is saying woman and more, one or more other person. That means polygyny, polyandry addressed. ठीक है. Then she is talking about relationship with one or more person, which gives other thing is the same only ki when a child is born to that woman, and if she is not prohibited under any rules that govern that society, that child would be given full birth status rights. So that means somewhere down the line her definition is a little more inclusive than the others, because at least she has addressed the kind of marriage that polyandry or polygyny can exist. But then again, it was not explicitly mentioning about homosexual marriages. Like, person is a gender neutral word. It could be either female or male, right? Persons means more than one, that means plural. So somewhere down the line it did explicitly uh, cater to certain things, but even then homosexual marriage के बारे में बात नहीं किया, right? Homosexual means woman and a woman kind of a marriage. Like other marriages like concubinage in feudal system. Now concubinage is basically a live-in relationship which doesn't have a solemnized marriage, right? So those kind of marriages, child born out of a concubinage in China is given full birth status rights, but they are not married, right? So these kind of marriages Kathleen Gog could not explain. Then the live-in relationships of today, she could not explain those kind of marriages. So from this we understand, no matter how much holistic you try to make your definition, there will still be certain things which you will not be able to address, because A, there is too much diversity in the world, B, you are giving a definition from your own perspective, so you might miss certain things. So then the scholars understood after a point that it is a futile exercise of trying to define what a marriage is, because defining a marriage is not of consequence to consequence for anybody, right? What was more important after a point was, what purpose does the marriage solve? What is the purpose of the marriage? What is the function of the marriage? Why is marriage universal phenomena? Why is it that it is found in every society, be it in a different form, but it still exists universally? So that became the centripetal idea after a point of time. The idea of defining a marriage went into like a bag after a time, and what was more important is studying the universality or the purpose it served, right? So you can just take any other definitions you like, and if the question comes you can just give a conclusion like that and finish your answer. So now, universality of marriage. So now they were thinking that why marriage existed everywhere, right? So this was a very unique thing, because this is not found in animals, it is only found in humans. This kind of an arrangement or institution which is so institutionalized and structured is only found in humans, no other animal. So for us, existence of marriage was both a biological and socio-cultural need. This is what we were talking about, na, universal biopsychic phenomena. This is what it was, right? It is a biopsychic phenomena, universal biopsychic phenomena, because its existence has both biological as well as socio-cultural aspect to us, right? So basically, what are the things that are important? though there are 5 points, but I can just group them into two main headings. I'll just tell you. So, first thing, why we needed such an institution like marriage was to check the chaos due to sexual competition. Now, when we were studying the Pliocene, Pleistocene times, right? When there was human kind of, homo kind of species that were evolving, right? So then we were studying that they understood the power of being united and how they could manage or take on the bigger carnivores and top hunters of that time, was because they could strategize, they could make strategies, they could uh, plan, right? So one of the plan required them to be together, harmonize, and create a group in which they could live, they could reproduce, and they could successfully reproduce, right? So this group life, or this society kind of thing which they wanted to have, or was the need of that time, required them to keep peace among themselves. But what would happen if everybody could mate with anybody? That would create a chaos in the society, because males would feel that if they want to uh, consummate with one of the females, and if they have certain emotional bonding towards her, if anybody else would also feel the same way, it would be bad for the group, it will break the group. You understand, right? So to check on that kind of sexual competition among males, which was very detrimental for the group as a whole, because for hunting they needed to be together. So for to check that sexual competition, a marriage kind of institution was required, right? So that there could be institutionalized mating. That means it is fixed that once this marriage happens, after this only this man and this female are going to reproduce together. So that created some kind of a institutionalized mating process in the group, right? So it checked that group harmony was not they did not disorganize, right? There was group harmony. So then other reasons were secure. Okay, let's do this. See, checking chaos, institutionalized meeting, and stable group or organization is one and the same thing. Because stable group or organization uh, कैसे होगा? First, there will be no sexual competition, so it will lead to institutionalized mating, and hence there will be stable groups, right? So this is one heading. You can categorize these 3 points into one heading, right? So now this stable group or organization will also lead into enculturation, which will be a socio-cultural need. Now, how enculturation? Because enculturation is what? You learn your own culture. You try to teach your own culture to your children or your grandchildren. Okay, that is what enculturation is all about. So, when there was a marriage that is solemnized, and then there is children, and that marriage leads to like, if this is a male, this is a female, now they will have children and they have parents too. So this will create some kind of a society, right? A social group kind of a thing. Family is a social group, right? So family would be a social group. They will do enculturation, they will live together, they will carry out life activities together, be emotional strength for each other, give security to each other. So all of this is what enculturation. This is their emotional feelings are nurtured and cultured. So this is what enculturation is all about. That means they will create a social group in which they will carry the social activities together, right? Now let me just clear it up, then we'll do the rest points, right? Okay, so the next point or the next heading would be security to mother and newborn, right? So we studied when anatomical changes and biological changes were happening to the to humans in the course of evolution, the size of the pelvic girdle for women and humans as a whole increased because the 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 baby that the mother was keeping in her womb in the gestation period, first the gestation period got long, right? Second, the baby had an immature brain. That means it was not like the animals whose children start to behave maturely in within few hours, or within 1 or 2 days when they are born. In humans, it takes a lot more time for a child to get mature, be it its brain or physiologically, right? So that creates a dependency of the newborn on the mother. That means if the mother, when while she's pregnant or after that, postnatal, she's taking care of the child, that means she cannot take out the economic activities. What are the economic activities? The economic activities are that she cannot go and search, she cannot go and uh, hunt for food, or in the newer times she cannot go and earn her living, right? Earn her living and the living of the child. That means there is a requirement of a man who can take care of this mother and child, so that they are fed, their other requirements of everything are taken care of. So that was also a requirement. Their security, their newborn mother and child bond is protected. She doesn't need to go out and earn a living in those times when she is pregnant or when she is taking care of the child. So that was also a reason, there was a requirement of institutionalized sort of a thing, which was a marriage, right? Then inheritance of property or surplus. Of course, now this marriage would happen, or whatever, if just forget about the marriage. The point is that now when the surplus started to grow, that means the man will acquire certain kind of possessions, right? Like when agriculture started, if a man is having a land, now who he would give this land to, you know humans तो हमेशा से इमोशनल तो रहे हैं ना. Of course they will always want to give their property, their possession, to a person who's his own. But in a society which is promiscuous, that means there is no legitimized reproduction or institutionalized mating. You would not know who's your child, or if there is any. So even if how no matter how much you are a group, a unity, you will always give your property to your own children, right? Or people who you are related to, your blood related. So that kind of a feeling in humans was always there, right? So in promiscuity, that means when there is no institutionalized mating, there is no institution of marriage, this this could not give rise to inheritance of property in a very legal way, right? So for this surplus or the possession that the man had, or the female had, both of them individually had, who will they give this property to? So for institutionalizing the way inheritance of property also happened, a marriage kind of institution was required. So I hope I make myself clear here. So these were some of the reasons which were accepted universally, that these are some of the needs for which some institution was required. It was not specifically that marriage will be that institution, but some institution was required. These were the certain requirements for which some institution was required. So everywhere, somewhere, marriage came out as a genius of, you can say it could be our ancestors' genius. It could be our ancestors' genius, idea of our ancestors to come up with the idea of marriage. Now why only marriage? Why not some other kind of a arrangement, like in a society also? We cannot really tell कि ऐसा क्यों हुआ कि everywhere a concept of marriage only evolved. That is still to that's a food for thought कि ऐसा क्यों हुआ होगा, maybe that psychic unity or something like that. But marriage came as an institution. So right, defining marriage is very tough. So instead of defining marriage, we should more focus upon why a need must have arisen for a reason कि marriage जैसा institution आ गया होगा. So these were some of the reasons. Today we'll do this much only. Tomorrow I'll cover other aspects of marriage, and I think we'll take one or two class more in this chapter and we'll complete it, because you guys were requesting for the case studies and all. So I put the case studies here, and actually I think जो society and culture वाला chapter था उसमें इतनी requirement नहीं थी. So after this we will need these examples and all, so I'll put them, and I'm going to cover this chapter slowly because every part of this chapter is important, and there are questions which can be formed on every part. So I'll complete it here. Please like, share and subscribe, and any suggestions please post in the comment section below. It makes me feel very happy when you interact with me, when you give me suggestions, because that makes me also understand ki what are the requirements and how we should go about it. So please do comment, please do like and share. Thank you.